Good afternoon, everybody. I have a persuasive speech on the bailing out of banks by the U.S. government. The idea of greed, and because of greed, rather, and complicity by the government, many banks have failed. If we stop electing officials who are accommodating to the banking industry, we won't be strapped with the enormous burden of bailing out these institutions. If you were to lend me some money and I didn't repay you, you would be kind of doubtful that you brother want to lend me some money again. Now, if you took another chance on me several more times and I didn't repay you any of those times, moreover, other friends of ours told you that they had lent me money and I didn't pay them back. Now, if you still lend me some money after that, then it's be pretty obvious then that it's a strong probability that I'm not going to pay you back. In the introduction to the book, The Banking Crisis, written in 2010 by Deidre Brafonsky, she writes that in 1970, debt was 60% of domestic personal income. And by 2008, debt had increased to a staggering 134% of domestic personal income. Banks, however, continue to make riskier housing loans, and the government, through legislative actions, encouraged this practice. Simon Johnson, who is the Ronald A. Kurtz Professor of Entrepreneurship at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Sloan School of Management, and a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics in Washington, D.C. He's also a co-founder of BaselineScenario.com, a website on the global economy, and is a member of the Congressional Budget Office's panel of economic advisors. From March 2007 through the end of August 2008, Johnson was the International Monetary Fund's chief economist and director of its research department. He says that although multiple factors contributed to the financial crisis, Johnson claims that the central cause is that banks incurred overwhelming debt from risky investments. Those investments defaulted, and he says the potential for enormous profits and excessive compensation made possible by deregulatory policies on the part of the government was the motivating factor for these risky investments. He further states that the undue influence of Wall Street on the government is getting in the way of harsh steps that could be taken to solve the crisis. The people in charge of regulating the economy are bankers. Former Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, from 2006 to 2009, was the CEO of Goldman Sachs, a large investment banking firm. He was preceded by John Snow, who quickly resigned and was named chairman of the management company that handled the bailout of Chrysler Corporation. After Secretary Paulson came Timothy Geithner, also a former banking exec. He served as Federal Reserve president and is now the president of a Wall Street equity firm. It is inconceivable that these men would be tough on the practices of an industry they helped to build. Without public intervention, it will just continue. Our current Treasury Secretary is Jack Lew, who is the former Chief Operating Officer of Citigroup, a commercial investment banking conglomerate. With decisive regulation, this can stop. I believe we can start a campaign of letter writing to our congressional leaders asking to support the drafting of legislation that would make the positions of Federal Reserve Chairman and SEC Chairman elected positions. If these positions are elected, the financial markets would no longer be able to operate as self-regulatory bodies as they currently do. The agencies charged with their oversight would be beholden to the people and not to those who appointed them. When we elect these officials, they will begin to identify the fraud and mismanagement inherent in this unregulated market. As a result, we will then have a more stable financial system. Without these measures, we could very well have another crisis, or worse. Can we really afford to keep bailing out businesses? We must act now. Finally, Our government has facilitated the banking industry in the misuse of investor funds and then volunteered our tax dollars to bail them out. We can make a difference in this practice by demanding that we have a say in who runs the agencies charged with their regulation. Sure, we'll always have poor and we'll always have the rich, but blatant robbery has got to stop. Thank you.